DreamHack ASTRO Open is brought to you by ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, and Intel.
All right, boys and girls, welcome to the DreamHack ASTRO Open Winter 2017, the ninth and final DreamHack ASTRO Open of this year. We're here in Jönköping, Sweden. The BYOC is becoming quieter by the hour. The temperature inside is getting a little hot, though. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. DreamHack Winter has been a prestigious event for over a decade, and this year is absolutely no different. So, it's time to feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme, get on up. It's grand finals time, baby. That's right. We're jumping right into the grand finals here. We've got Mousesports. We've got Nodisfence here squaring off over at least 2 maps. I can only guarantee you 2, not 3, but this could definitely go to 3. Either way, I want to make sure we want to give a thanks over to our sponsors for making this all happen in ASTRO, Monster Energy, Zowie, Corsair, and of course, Intel, powering the processors on the stage and, well, just about anywhere you can see, I think is the ultimate sentiment there. Anyway, guys, grand finals. What are we thinking?
I'm excited. Well, that's the place to be. I'm definitely excited. Today's been fiery. We've seen lots of individual plays coming out, a fantastically prepared Mousesports, a Gambit, major champions getting blown out of the water. A lot's happened, and a lot is still to happen as we gear up for this final match of the day. Final match of the tournament.
Final match of the tournament. I mean, it's coming to a close, boys.
I haven't buttoned up my shirt.
Things are getting real.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, let's go ahead and take a look at the groups as they unfolded, because this has been quite a storyline for you to follow at home. I can understand how you might think that that is a typo on the screen, but Chad, that's certainly not a typo, is it?
No, 3 days of Counter-Strike, and we saw a blockbuster between Gambit and Na'Vi. Unfortunately, we don't get that again in this grand final, but hey, that was a big match, and that was basically the match of Group A. It saw Gambit going through in first seed, making it to the semi-final, getting knocked out just before to Mousesports, and Na'Vi having to take on Heroic in a 3-mapper in a back-and-forth game where Simple and the boys triumphed.
Well, let's switch it over to Group B, because that is what comes after A. Can you believe it, Pimp?
Yeah, we saw Mousesports starting out well against North Academy. They didn't have much to put on the table in that game. They moved on to play Envious, where they had a disastrous CT Silent Train, which made them lose the game 16-12, which is why they had to go through the lower bracket to win against Big, who won against North Academy 2-1. Decently close game. North Academy showed a little bit of promises. Anyway, he went out last, and Big lost to Mousesports, which made them go into the semi-final.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Group B, I mean, it looked a little turbulent, but I think that all eyes have to be on that Na'Vi Gambit match from Group A. I think that's really been the point there. Let's go ahead and look, though, at the playoffs, because that's where we stand currently. Envious and Na'Vi squaring off this morning, a quick 2-0. And by quick, I mean, well, relatively in terms of a best of 3, of course. Yeah. Gambit and Mousesports thereafter with a 2-0. Boys, how are we feeling about this playoff bracket?
Even quicker, the second one round, right? That train matchup, 16-1, that's
even more surprising, I'd say so too, right?
Yeah, they got blown out of the water, and that's the lack of preparation there. But this final, it's squaring up. We do have some stars in both teams who have been firing. We have some good game plan from Mousesports that's going to gear them up and put them in a good position. I want to give an honorable mention, though, to North Academy and Rise Nation for showing that they could at least be competitive. The tournament has gone to script. Anders and the simulation have done as expected. We've got the teams we wanted, within that top 4, within those semi-final matches, and now we have a grand final, which is set to be pretty goddamn exciting.
Excitement does not even begin to describe it, Chad. What would you say, Pimp? What is a proper word for this? I think excitement's close, but ultimately, this is the culmination of the entire week.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be here, and to be part of this final.
It's a banger?
It's a banger.
A banger. I think, yeah, I like that one.
That was a perfect word.
That was a good word there, just to trump excitement. But either way, guys, honestly, is this the final we expected?
I think, the Na'Vi versus Gambit, because we already saw it be such a blockbuster matchup, such a back-and-forth game with clutches, strategies, all that good stuff, all the juicy goodness, that could have been a nice grand final. But Mousesports has, not surprisingly, they've shown a really good face, especially today in that first best of 3. They're able to put in a really good game plan. The individuals, Rops, Oscar, even Sunny chiming in with some fantastic moments, showing that they definitely deserve to be here, and they blew Gambit out of the water.
I mean, you can look at the matchup and you can say, like, these are the 2 best playing teams we have at the tournament, so it's only fair they're in the final as well.
Well, they are in the finals. That is where we are. But first, let's hear what our grand finalists had to say going into this.
Right now, Simple is playing the best CS in the world, I think, on this tournament. He's just unstoppable.
Their move, and they have. They've done so towards that ramp. They go right into the lying weights of Simple. Headshot to Sixer, no scope to RPK, and another.
Yeah, in grand final for Electronic, it's a new experience. I'm really happy for him, for us, and for our team.
We are like happy that we reached the final, but we're not like satisfied or anything. We want to win again, so we try not to let any emotion overtake us right now. We're just gonna play, we're gonna keep playing, and who knows, maybe it's gonna be enough to take the title.
Container throwing out some smokes, and they popped out Pop Dog with an opening from Fitch again.
But Oscar is just so consistent here, stops them one after another. The fourth frag and the fifth the way of...
What is going on, everybody? How are we all doing tonight? It's been an amazing year for Counter-Strike at DreamHack, but it all culminates here at the DreamHack ASTRO Open Winter 2017 Grand Finals. We started with 8 teams and now have only 2. One team hailing from the CIS region, proving their dominance over Gambit. And then on the other side, we have a mixed team of nationalities representing one of the premier German esports organizations. Everybody, please welcome to the stage, Na'Vi and Mouse! You're looking good, guys. You're looking fantastic and ready to go. Let's get the last 2 players from either team for a quick chat. It's Chris J and Simple. Guys, quick thoughts before you go into this matchup, starting with you, Simple.
I wish good luck to both teams, to us and Mousesports, and I hope we're gonna show great final of DreamHack Winter 2017.
Chris J, what about you?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be a great final. I think Na'Vi has been improving a lot with new lineup, even though I guess they're not in their top form yet. It's been a recent change. Yeah, we feel good as a team. Obviously Na'Vi is really strong, so I'm sure both teams are going to give a good fight.
Guys, go ahead, shake each other's hands and head to your booth. Trez, it's time for the grand final of DreamHack ASTRO Open Winter 2017. Let's get things going.
Absolutely nailed it, Paula. And you know what? On top of that, guys, our competitors look like they're just about ready to get in the zone.
I'm in the zone. I hope they're in the zone because this grand final, it could be a banger. We've already said that. We've already said exciting as well, so we'll now steer clear of those fancy buzzwords. But I think that man on your screen right there, Simple, given the interview, definitely humbled in the recent years and showing why he is definitely in contention for the title of, I'm not going to give him best player in the world, I'm going to give him top 3. He's going to take the top 3 mantle, right? Because I think you need to get some achievements on the board to be getting that best player in the world title, and he's still got a way to go, but he can drag this Na'Vi team with him and up to some titles, I definitely think.
Yeah, I mean, Simple has that sort of impact. We've talked about it time and time again. I'm sure we're going to be talking about it at the close of this game as well. I mean, he's been a guy that even when the rest of the team around him hasn't been able to necessarily show up in dominant fashion, he still is.
It's the X factor. You know, you can't prepare for Simple, and that's it must be rough for teams like North, teams like Mousesports, even Envious, you know, who want to come in prepared. You can't prepare for it. You know where he is. Maybe on the map he's still gonna hit some crazy shots, and all of a sudden you don't know where he's on the map because he's gonna be somewhere else than he normally is. He can do everything in this game. He's so versatile. He's so good, and there's nothing that really stops Simple in his achievement. You know, for going for one of those top spots in the world for the best player.
I agree with that sentiment. Hard to quantify.
Hard to quantify. Well, you know, the guy himself, it's been an interesting career, and it's been cool to watch just to where he is now. I mean, we could talk about Simple. We could talk about just about anybody on this Na'Vi side. So let's just do that. Let's just start with the Na'Vi side of the equation.
Na'Vi, all right. Well, I think some of the good things that we saw is Electronic still has this teething period, right? He hasn't get to play on many lands, especially at this level. In the past, it's been with Flipside, where he's been set up to be that star, or at least within a system where he gets to shine a little bit more. So here he has to share some of that limelight with the likes of Simple, who we've just touched on. Flamey, who's also had it's been up and down, but he's had his moments. Edward, the same, can be said. And then Zeus, who, when they had that overpass game earlier on in the day, he was even cracking the bomb sites open and looking very proficient. So the exciting thing about this Na'Vi roster is they have a lot of firepower, they have a trio, they have a core that could propel them into the top 5. And we can maybe see a little bit of that coming out in this grand final.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The most exciting thing about this Na'Vi lineup for me is the roles on the team, because they're not set yet, I believe. This is still a new team. They brought in Electronic. He used to be the hard carry for Flipside back in the days now. Now he's together with Simple, together with Flamey, together with Edward, who has been achieving a lot of stuff in their careers. So how does this guy come in and take on a new role on this team, and still fit in as he did in Flipside? That's going to be interesting to see. So far, it looks okay, but still there's a lot more to come from him, I believe, in the future.
And we're still learning as this goes on, right, about this Na'Vi roster, the depth of their map pool, what they can actually bring, and those roles. It's all a learning experience for us here at the analyst desk, for the viewers at home, and the team in the server, and they're adjusting on the fly, and that's what you want to see.
Yes, resilience and the ability to pretty much just pivot and make those plays. That's what it's all about, and especially in game and in out of game, in life too. Well, outside of that, boys, we've talked a little bit about Na'Vi. We've talked about what they're bringing to the table and the tremendous amount of firepower that they potentially possess. But what about Mousesports? I mean, we looked at a player earlier in Rops who just absolutely dominating.
He's maybe in the shadow of Simple in this tournament, but if you look at his stats, right, he's been absolutely amazing as well. He's the second highest rated player, and he's been playing hearts out. So goes for Sonny, who seems to finally have found his place in Mousesport as well, putting up some good numbers. Oscar came alive in the Gambit game as well, came alive yesterday against Big, so it looks good for this Mousesport team. It seems like all the stars are finally, coming into the tournament. Stico had that sick 1-4 clutch earlier as well, so everyone brings something to the table for Mousesports right now.
Yeah, we talk about Mousesports and, the stars and the potential and the skill ceiling of all those players. For me, I always like to lean and look at LMBT as the coach, the man behind them, the man in the shadows doing all that work, doing all the prep. And I think that he brings an element that a lot of coaches don't. He's been doing this. He's one of the OGs. He stepped into this position when it opened up, and he's been doing a very good job at it. And I think his game plan, what he brings to this team, the way that they're able to apply themselves is a huge factor in why this squad could be dangerous. And we all thought that this Mousesports roster, because they had that really good streak in the middle of the year where it seemed like, hey, these guys, they had that Mykonos event, and it just felt like they were going to be more dangerous. They've definitely tapered off in recent months, but this could be them bouncing back just before the major cycle, and a strong end to the year is what would be nice for Mousesports.
Is the goal ultimately probably for every team still out there competing for the duration of the rest part of this year. But at this time, we have narrowed down, well, I should say Pimp has narrowed down 3 reasons on why this is going to be a banger. Is that right, Pimp?
That's right, man. And we already touched a little bit upon it, but first reason going in is that Mousesports look well prepared, and that goes down to, as Chad says, LMBT and the team itself. They came into this tournament and they seem prepared. They have one more tournament for the rest of this year, and that's the ECS finals, arguably a little bit bigger tournament than this one. So winning this one and coming into this one, gathering some confidence and gathering some experience, that's always good for a team like Mousesports. I think they are yet to show the best of themselves. They did show a very high level against Gambit, but if they want to win against Na'Vi, they have to do even better. So, with the preparation they come in with, I still think they have a chance. Second reason why this final is going to be very exciting is Simple. We talked a lot about him, and we can keep talking about him. He is having maybe one of the best tournaments we've ever seen from an individual player thus far. It's insane, the numbers he's been putting up. It's like 30 frags every single game. The ratings are above 1.50 pretty much every single game, and he's soul-handedly making Na'Vi able to win the close games that they've been up in. They had some close games, and without Simple, they would have lost them without a doubt. Flamey said himself, he's maybe the best player in the world right now. We had to see that in the final, so let's see if Simple can get one more achievement under his belt, and maybe getting closer to calling himself the best player in the world. Third reason why it's going to be an exciting final is that we have a counterpart to Simple in Oscar, Robs, and not Stugo, sorry, but also Stugo and Sonny. Those 3 have been putting up great numbers as well. Stugo as well had the sick 1-4 clutch. He's kind of like the backbone of this team together with Chris J. But those 3 players I just mentioned have been putting up great numbers as well, and they need to keep doing that. Otherwise, Simple is going to take over the server.
Simple taking over the server is a scary form for Simple to be in for literally any team, I think, at this point.
Can I give some more context to this Simple discussion, right?
Absolutely.
Just for this tournament thus far. So if we're looking at the stats from this event, Simple is the top-rated player just by 0.01 over Rops. But regardless, his kill difference is #1. He's at plus 96 for the event. You go down to damage per round, he's 3rd. Sitting damage difference per round, he's in the 3rd position as well. Total kills, he's up the top. Kills per round, he's up the top. You go to +1 kills per round, he's at the #1 position. You keep going down and his face shows up more and more. This is where it gets even more impressive. Total AWP kills is #1. AWP kills per round, 0.46. Total opening kills, 42. Success in opening duels, and this is a damning stat on how effective this guy is in those opening duels, 71.2% at the top.
And that's where he differs from a guy like Robshu. He knows, he comes in and he closes out the rounds. He maybe has some good CT side, where Simple, he opens up the rounds for Na'Vi. So, you know, they might have the same rating, but I'd say Simple have been way more impactful in their wins than Robs have in the Mousesports.
I mean, we watched Simple single-handedly holding lower on Nuke earlier. By himself, really putting down fire down range.
That's just one example, right?
Yeah, it's just one example of Simple just doing exactly what it takes to fill that hole and step up and make those plays.
Here's the problem, though. On the CT side, Simple can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
He can try and make himself as assertive, as proactive as possible, find those opening jewels. But if the rest of his team's getting dictated to and executed on, he isn't there and he can't be there. That's why I think that their T sides have been more effective than their CT. We have seen dramas, we have seen problems when they're on that CT side, especially getting the economy going. And I think that's definitely attributed to maybe some people not making frags they should. And they might need to tighten that up if they want to be able to take on Mousesports here in the grand final.
How it always is, if I can chime in, how it always is for new teams. I feel like you know that problem too. It's like, when you form a new team, it's always easier to get good on the T side, because you can always throw in some sick strats or some strats that, like, even for a bad team would make them win rounds against teams. Whereas the CT side, it's so much about skill, so much about getting that second skill, you know, second kill, instead of just killing the first guy, getting that second frag who consolidates around for your team, right? And that's so hard compared to the C side.
Is it, Chad?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that sentiment for sure. And I think, you know, something else we have to note with Na'Vi that could be a bit of an issue is their map pool, right? They got lucky on Nuke there going up against an Envious who were frazzled. They were forced into force by scenarios, which is normally their bread and butter. But this is where the individual brilliance came through from Na'Vi. They were able to keep it very tight, have a very good first half. I think it was 8-7 in Envious's favor, but that's huge for the T side. The thing is, Mousesports, we just saw them like manhandle Gambit on Nuke, right? They had a really good game plan. They had a really good approach. This is something that Na'Vi really hasn't had the same level of. They've had good individualism. They've had Simple going nuts and winning rounds that are very pivotal, and then winning the ones they should after that with the rest of the team, but they don't have the same level of game plan on the T side, and we just illustrated once more their CT side is an issue. So you would be leaning, if Mousesports can bring what they've done so far into this grand final, towards them on those factors, but they don't have Simple.
Well, regardless of Simple, regardless of any of the teammates across the board, what is certainly important is the map selection, which we do have the vetoes ready to fire up and show, I guess, where we're going to be landing on here across. We could be going to 3 maps, could just be 2.
This one should be clear cut, right? I think Na'Vi should be banning Cache. And there's the overpass ban coming out from Mousesports.
Mousesports definitely going to opt to go with Nuke. You know, that should be the pick.
Should be the punish, yeah, 100%. Yeah. And then where would you go if you're the likes of Na'Vi, right? Because you're going to have Inferno open. We've seen them play that. They've had up and down success.
It depends on like what they think, you know, because if they think Mousesports are prepared for Inferno, then they're probably not going to steer towards Inferno.
Ooh,
they did play a lot of rounds.
So they've steered clear of Nuke, which is interesting, to say the least. There would be one, this is where you would want to punish in the veto, but maybe we did see problems with Na'Vi earlier in the year before the re-edition of Zeus when they had Seized in-game leading a Guardian. Their Cobblestone was very weak, especially on that CT side. They didn't really have an effective drop player. Seized was constantly out of position. It wasn't really a role that he fit into, unfortunately. So maybe they have those same teething issues going into this new roster, but I would say this is a map that Na'Vi would practice. One that Zeus seemed to liked in Gambit, liked in the old Na'Vi.
Could be 2 things, you know. We don't know what happens in the private practice servers, so maybe they have an edge, you know, when they practice against them. The other thing is that Mousesports could just be going for their strong map. You know, they feel they're a better team. They feel they're a more well-rounded team. So why not play into our own strengths instead of like trying to go into that game with Na'Vi?
True. And that is the Inferno pick coming out from Na'Vi right there, which we saw that monstrous game against Gambit, where they had strategy, they had good mid-round decision, they had some executes that weren't that finely polished. Molotovs were being missed, notably towards that B site. And that could be a problem. Training ban coming out right now. That's taking away another comfort pick for Na'Vi.
It seemingly makes sense, too, as Envious, you know, bested them 16-12 on it earlier in the tournament. Probably feeling a little bit vulnerable.
Even though they just won 16-1 against Gambit, though. You know.
There's still some sort of chance, you know.
It's in the back of their mind, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That's, I think, the whole idea there. Mirage is going to be our 3rd map, though, so that paints the picture of Cobble, Inferno, Mirage. In 3 maps here, what it could be. I mean, do we think this one's going to go the distance, boys?
Makes up for a good series. Let's say, like, all 3 maps could potentially go either way.
Yeah.
I don't feel there's a clear favorite on any of the maps.
No, me either. And that means if we go the distance, we get to see Na'Vi playing 2 new maps at this tournament, Cobblestone and Mirage, right? We haven't seen them play either of those. My memory's getting worse and worse. My brain's a bit of a sieve at this point. So if we get to see that, that's fantastic to see where this Na'Vi team is at in terms of their practice. I don't think they would be too unhappy either with the map pool. So difficult to.
I think they're happy about not playing Nuke. Honestly, I know they won against Envious, but that was, as you said, down to some very close rounds, some clutch rounds, some force rounds. Simple being a maniac once again.
Yeah,
can't keep counting on that every single game. So I think they're glad for not playing the Nuke, and I think they should be pretty satisfied with this map pool.
Yeah, pretty satisfied with this map pool. We can look now at the the Naughty Vincier lineup.
Naughty by nature, though. They're naughty by nature.
Naughty Navi. Yeah, I mean, these guys have had an interesting year, albeit we could talk about roster, we could talk about any of that.
Yeah.
But this is what people are going to remember going into the holiday season.
Yeah, step in the right direction for the new Na'Vi roster with Electronic on board. Something I didn't note, and I should have, with the preparation from LMBT and the Mousesports guys, is the fact that they actually would have stuff to look at on the way Gambit likes to play the game. It's not the same going up against a Na'Vi who hasn't really shown their face other than a couple of online matches.
Yeah, I think it's interesting for this Na'Vi lineup as well. We talked a lot about Flamey, we talked a lot about Electronic, obviously Simple, those three being the factor or the hard hitters for that team. It has been Edward, though, who has been the second star for Na'Vi throughout this tournament. He's been playing well, and he's been doing his work very well, actually, throughout the tournament. So we need to see something more from Electronic, we need to see something more from Flamey if they actually want to go up against the likes Rob, Sonny, Oscar, Stuko, even Chris J. They're all five guys putting up great frags. So we need Electronic and Flamey to come in and join Edward and Simple if they want to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take more than just Simple. And again, you can't
always... you don't know that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, perhaps Simple wins the game by himself. There's always a chance of that when he's loaded up in the server. That's for certain. Flipping it over, though, we do have Mousesports on the other side of the equation here. Oscar, Robs, Chris J, Stico, and Sonny. Now, I think in their own rights, we've talked about what Oscar could bring to the table. Yeah. I don't think we've necessarily seen that this tournament.
We have seen a little bit of it, especially in that matchup against Gambit. He was able to put a stamp on the board, right? He had quite a few good AWP kills. He was being more effective. That pistol round on the second half of Train with the Deagle, nice 3 one-bullet crisp headshots. But
crisp,
you're right,
clean.
Crisp, clean locks. But the fact of the matter is, it's not that they've necessarily had to, because other players have been showing up. So we had, and I think everybody's kind of played to their role very well. We had Sunny on Mirage yesterday having a fantastic performance, right? He was able to get in the thick of it, brawl, play well around that connector. I highlighted one of the things on the drawing board brought to you by Samsung. But then we've got Stico on your screen. On that Nuke matchup just before, he was the one who was really getting that game plan and getting the kills they needed to by pushing around to ladder. Then you got Chris J, secondary AWPer. He was very effective as the main AWPer on Nuke. He's definitely had his footprint noticed and seen and found, and felt. I don't know where I was going with that one.
I think either are, makes sense.
My boy Rops.
Rops. Now, a prodigy, one might say. And this is, and I guess I say it in terms of freshman year, Rops.
Yeah.
Well, the most impressive thing about Rops is he comes from FPL, he comes from playing those pucks, right? And normally players who come from there, they don't know how to communicate, they don't know how to play clever, they don't know how to play in a team game environment. But I feel like Rob's already now, like even from the first time we saw him on Mousesports, like understood that factor that he is good with his aim, but there's still so much to learn. And that's like the difference between Robs and some other like aim guards out there. That as long as the player himself, accepts the fact that I'm not good enough yet to claim myself as one of the best,
right.
I have to learn, then he learns so much faster than those guys who just have a good aim and think, okay, I can take over the world right away. It feels like Robs is really like a team player already now, and it's only been half a year in Mousesports.
Which is something that I think over time a lot of Counter-Strike players fall into the trap of my way works, and I'm not going to listen to anybody else, and that's just unfortunate that it goes that way usually. But maybe we're fortunate enough to predict this grand final in a fashion that which it actually comes down to. So I'm going to have to ask you guys for your predictions at this time, and we have been starting with Chad. I think we'll start with you, Pim.
Yeah, it's a tough one, probably the toughest one we have to call out yet. I think it's going to be very close, and I think we're going to see 3 maps, because as I said, I don't see a clear-cut favorite for any of the guys on any of the maps, so it should go down to the wire, and that's how it always is with grand finals. You win the first map, you lag a little bit on the second, then you go into the third, and we find the best team, right? So in this case, I think, it'll be sad if Simple didn't win this one. I'm predicting Na'Vi to win 2-1, and I'm predicting Simple to drop a 40 bomb on the third map.
Wow. All right.
There we go.
Jeez, a 40 bomb. That's what you'd like to see, but I think for me, Rob said it himself, the nerves are still something he struggles with. If he's able to carry that through, that's going to be a positive side for Mousesports, whereas the Na'Vi guys have all played in big finals, big semi-finals, big matches before on stages that are some of the largest around the world. So they definitely have the experience factor on their side. I just think, and then I bring in the game plan factor again. They wouldn't have been able to prepare as much. I'm going to go with Na'Vi as well, and I'm going to take it 2-1. I'll go with you. Same prediction.
Well, You know what? I think there's something to be said about the laws of unison amongst us here on the desk. Only a real Loler can build a pyramid like you're seeing in Twitch chat right now. And with that, only one man can make this completely possible and has proven it. It's going to be simple. I'm going to have to side with Na'Vi, guys. I think when we stand together, we fall together too.
You know what happened when the world put a lot of faith in one man?
Oh, man.
Don't say it.
A religion was born.
Yes.
And I'll gladly join the cult of Simple.
Okay. Well
What
said.
does it stand for? Like, what does symbol stand for?
Frags.
Dreaming about frags.
Yeah.
Getting them every day of the week.
Every day of the week, all day long, putting the baby arm on the table. If your name is Simple, that is certainly what you could expect going into this best of three. Our grand final here at the DreamHack Astro Winter Open 2017. Let's go ahead and bring in the commentators because these guys are fired up. We have had a change of shift. And we're going to be bringing in Vince and Vendetta. Guys, how are we feeling about this matchup?
Feeling great. That's a handsome looking desk as well, isn't it?
It is. Dapper young man.
Beautiful, man.
That's nice. Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, I like compliments.
And right back at you.
Keep them coming.
I'll tell you what, just take it away from here.
Okay, we'll do just that then.
Yeah.
So we've had a clean sweep on the desk, all Na'Vi. I'm going to go for Na'Vi as well. Are you going to be that guy?
I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to break all four of you in one go. Mousesports has this, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 2-0.
And to be fair, you're not just jumping on the bandwagon now. You have been calling it from day one. You thought Mousesports would actually take this event. Well, had a really good chance to, so...
Yeah, and I think one of the strengths that Mousesports has to play off of here is the fact that in the previous instances, outside of the Gambit game that Na'Vi played, they've played versus teams that have not necessarily five heavy hitters. They have 1 to 2 guys who can contribute in a big way, who can actually go, try to step up towards to Simple and actually equalize, that advantage on Na'Vi's end. When you see Mousesports and how they've played pretty much for the entirety of the tournament, they have actually had contributions from everyone, and nobody's really fallen off in a big way. And I think that's going to carry them through over the course of this finals. Even though Simple has been playing lights out, but if you look at the ratings and everything and the stats over the tournament, Robs, who hasn't necessarily gotten as much of a spotlight, which is understandable considering what kind of frags Simple has been getting a lot of the times. He's right neck and neck, with Simple in that sense. So I think Mousesports has a lot of things going for them. When you look at the map pool as well, I think it's 3 very comfortable maps for Mousesports. I can't say the same for Na'Vi. Mirage, for instance, not a map that they've played a ton with Electronic, and even before that, hasn't really seen, obviously, the same success that they'd used to in the past. So yeah, I'm leaning towards Mousesports in a big way, actually.
Well, you saw there as well, in terms of pistol stats, they are also in the lead on Na'Vi, and of course pistol stats throughout this best of 3 are going to be so important. We even saw Na'Vi on Overpass a couple of times throughout this event go for these very odd force buys up until about the 5th round. So again, the reason I'm even mentioning the pistol round is because if Na'Vi go behind those pistols, it's possible they play themselves into 0-5 sort of scenarios, and Mousesports, the way they've been playing, when they get ahead, they stay ahead.
Yeah, when they get momentum, they run with it, pretty much. We saw that versus Big. We saw that, versus North Academy as well. We've seen, pretty much in every game they've played outside of the Envy matchup, obviously, on Train. And this time, they don't actually have to go to that map, even though they had a great semifinals on it. It's looking really positive for Mousesports in my eyes, and I'm excited to see what they can bring to the table. I think Chad's argument for Rops, potentially having a bit of an issue with nerves are, they're not as experienced as most of the Na'Vi squad. That can definitely play a factor, but you have to consider the fact that this is Electronics' first big grand finals with Na'Vi. It's his first LAN with Na'Vi, right? So that could also come into play as well.
Well, speaking of the grand finals, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, and Oscar is going to baptize Na'Vi with some fire, but he's gone down, and Simple's also chimed in for a frag. This is back and forth, the seesaw of a pistol round. Electronic with 2 headshots. You called on him. You said it's one of his first endeavors out with Na'Vi, and he has had a pretty lackluster event thus far, so this would be one hell of a time to show up. But Sticko, he's got a whole bunch of clutches, and of course he got that 1v4 ridiculous play here on Cobblestone earlier on. Different circumstances. He knows that Simple is up close. Hasn't been able to rattle off the head just yet. He does have a kit, so he's not in any great rush as of now.
Starting to lack on bullets, so
that is a good point. Gonna need to reload. He still has 14 more in reserve and now a full magazine to play with. But he's gonna get double peaked, and Na'Vi, they started quite poorly for them, but they came back.
Yeah. 2 quick frags to take out the entire A defense there. Very well done. Rops obviously returning fire with 2 frags of his own. Electronic with that flank through drop, though, being the real difference maker. The fact that he's able to not necessarily just get Rops, as we see here, that's not necessarily the biggest frag. It's the one that he picks up on Chris J. that really sets the tone for Na'Vi and allows them to get into a favorable late round scenario. Oh, Deagle's come out on Sunny. We saw what he was able to do versus Big yesterday on Mirage. It's definitely a threat. Pretty much everyone on this Mousesports side know how to handle that weapon. Chris, though, a little bit more laid back in terms of weaponry. Decided to go for some utility instead. And we know that both Oscar and Chris J would like to get to that green rifle as quickly as possible.
You better believe it. Of course, on Cobblestone, double ops, very much workable, especially in the hands of Mousesports, but they've already lost control over long A and mid. It is with Deagle, so the one-tap potential is still very much alive and well, and Sunny's going to put that to use with one onto Edward. They may not expect Rops at the back of the site, and especially as Chris J is trying to make a nuisance of himself from the balcony. And if they focus too much fire, that could allow Rops to strike, but it's not going to happen. And Electronic with a double headshot. He's going to put Na'Vi into a 2-round lead. Sticko, in the best case scenario, is maybe to take a weapon out this round, but that's about it.
And even though it's EcoFrag's Electronics pick it up right now, that has to, kind of calm his nerves in a big way and make him feel at home, really, in this grand finals matchup. Obviously not an issue for a player like Simple. He seems to just be exuding confidence no matter what. Nice pickup there from Sticko. Managed to take down Flamey. Not going to be able to retrieve a weapon, but could actually survive with Kevlar intact and a P250.
Yeah, bit of money towards the next couple rounds for Sticko with the headshot, and also a saved Kevlar with the P250 wouldn't be too shabby. This gives them something to work with. But so far, so good for Na'Vi. Cruising to a 2-0 lead.
Yeah. And with the Deagle investment that we saw on, or the Molotov investment and everything we saw on Chris J, he's not going to be able to afford an op and the potentially first buy round unless they manage to win this round, which is very unlikely. But Oscar has managed his money properly. You can see he's sitting on 3K. So he does have the opportunity to wield a sniper rifle.
Oh, there's one player you don't really want to push into. It's going to be Simple. You expect him to lock down all these kills. The spray's on point. He's landing so much damage, and Zeus will finish off the rest. They do take down Edward, and ultimately a complete eco of a round. I think that only a flashbang was actually purchased through into it. So, not too bad, but as you highlighted, Oscar now should be golden to pick up the AWP, although it's not going to be with many nades and probably glass cannon.
It's actually
does just scrape the Kevlar, but no nades at all.
Yep. And you can, depending on what kind of position you play, obviously if you were to go towards Plateau, you might want to have a flash or two instead of the Kevlar, so you can actually flush yourself into position. Playing A-Halls, just want to make sure that his aim doesn't get shook about as somebody tries to peek him. And obviously we've seen Simple have a lot of activity towards these A-Halls mid-area initially as well, and that's going to be a massive battle for both teams. Who can come out ahead, Simple or Oscar?
The downsides, though, for Mousesports, they've gone for firepower over any kits as well. Could be an issue if Na'Vi start to make inroads on either of these sites.
Retakes on Cobblestone is surprisingly tough. Normally you have one bomb set that is easier to retake than the other. On Cobblestone, it feels like both of them are a bit of a nightmare.
Oh, yeah. And very large rotation times as well, of course, between the two sites.
Yeah. It gets so easily blocked out. Rob's not going to be able to capitalize on the first man he spots. That's Zeus dropping out a window.
Just too many angles for him to watch out for, because obviously had a couple of players up on the window as well. But Chris J is going to find Zeus through the doors and will dispatch of him. So an even trade. But you can see that Na'Vi, they have so much map control. They're actually choking out any potential of a rotation. They have all mid all day. Oscar, though, is going to miss that shot uncharacteristically. It's going to cost him his life and cost his team the A bomb site. This round's done.
It is. It's very well done by Edward there. Find Sunny. In a situation where Sunny wins out that battle, that obviously allows for Oscar to keep track of what's going on through doors there. And with, I think it was Sticko who was on a bit of a long rotation for Mousesports there. That could have really spelled disaster for Na'Vi, but Edward just gradually getting better and better as the tournament goes along. Had a very rough start, obviously, especially if you go back to that Gambit series, or Gambit game. Felt like a series, though, with how long it went.
Oh, yeah.
But he's been getting into it.
And there are best of threes that have started and ended in the time it took them to get done with that one map. How long it was.
Sticko peering over the smoke, not able to see Flamey just yet, though. Flamey dangerously close to putting some bullets into the head of Sicko here as well. So toying with fire here, the Mousesports players. And instead, it's going to be Zeus making his way down drop with that MP9, just racking up the cash. And also creating a lot of space for Na'Vi to work with.
Of course, if he was to fall, no huge problem. MP7 against armor. He's still potent, but certainly not quite as powerful as likes of an AK.
And Na'Vi just keeping the same approach as they've done pretty much all tournament with their T-side play. Slow and methodical. See, even with the man advantage, knowing that they're going up against an eco round, just taking their time, moving as a group, and that's nice to see. And as you mentioned, even though Zeus goes down there, he's kind of done his part already. It's not the biggest get for Mousesports to pick up that MP7.
Yeah, he was expendable through and through, and now Chris J's going to try and use the MP7. Actually, pre-firing around the corner will yield him a kill, but probably not good enough for Mousesports to get back into this round. I say that as Sticko drills a one-tap, the Juan Dig into Simple's forehead. Now this does give them a little bit of wiggle room. They've also picked up an AWP from the corpse. Next to APC, Simple is going to be dead and buried, and now it's up to Sunny with his Desert Eagle. He's already landed a one-tap. Electronic, this is where you really want him to show what he's capable of doing, and he's going to do just that, waiting for the right moment to pluck out Sunny as he looks to push through. And that's going to be a very comfortable start for Na'Vi, 5-0 in the lead.
Yeah, yet again, Electronic showing up with some big frags here. 8-0 already, so yet to die. Only player actually on the server who's yet to die so far. It's a great start for the debutants.
Yeah, no arguing with that score at all. Mousesports have at least got kills in these last few rounds, but that's not really good enough. However, double AWPs in play for Mousesports. You know they want to go to this as soon as possible. This is such a heavy investment. And if they were to lose this, I mean, they're right back against the wall again.
Yeah, you can tell how passively Na'Vi have set up Simples up in the Princess Tower at the start of the round. They've not moved closer at all. I want to see if Mousesports throw out some aggression. They do actually as well. Sicko moves up on B Plateau. One of the toughest spots to actually kind of just hold off as a CT in an aggressive stance. Oscar just patiently waiting on the corner of A-Halls. Again, it seems like drop room is a point of interest for Na'Vi here.
And so far, Mousesports haven't really done anything to deter them from continuing this pressure. It's being applied and there's been no alleviating forces.
The great thing for Na'Vi right now, with the time they've expended, it's allowed for Mousesports to waste away pretty much all of their utility. Only Chris J with the smoke left. Sunny has a flash, so any sort of potential retake as well is going to be that much harder. Unless Mousesports are just able to beat them with firepower.
Less than half a minute to play with now, though, for Na'Vi, and no player has fallen as of yet. Now, we've been here before where they've timed themselves out, most notably against Gambit, but they are pushing the site that is definitely weaker. And it's going to be Oscar pretty much by himself. And he's got long presence and mid. The call will come through. They know it has to be this site, but there's less than 10 seconds. If Oscar lands any of these shots, it may be good enough. We are down to the burning embers of this round, and it's going to be a frag into a bomb plant. Na'Vi, by the skin of their teeth, hold on. And now it looks as though they will also claim this round. But my goodness, Na'Vi, that is leaving it so late. Sticko is going to keep the dream alive here, though, in round 6 to put Mousesports on the map finally. Nearly picking up a second onto Simple. And wouldn't you know it, Simple just pushes with 17 health.
Why not?
Not a play you expect, but hey, he's Simple. Logic doesn't apply sometimes.
Well, he can do what he wants at this point. He's pretty much been having his way with everyone in this tournament. Chris J, though, will be lucky enough to survive with an AWP. So there is opportunities to do some damage here still for Mousesports, even though not going to be fully equipped or anything near the sort. But again, well played by Na'Vi. Managing to use the time to their advantage, allowing for Mousesports not really to have anything to hold Na'Vi back as they push up towards the bomb site. But as he said, if Oscar just lands one shot from that position, that's probably game over for Na'Vi. And Oscar usually sinks those shots as well. He's been missing a lot of uncharacteristic shots up till this point. But he's going to be given a new chance. AWP gets dropped over from Chris J to the Czech player.
And And Oscar is one of those kind of guys that you're looking at to perform because he is ultimately going to be counteracting the counterweight to Simple.
Yep.
If he has a poor performance here, Simple could just take over.
I guess one thing to keep in mind is that Oscar, it was the one to start off with a poor performance in the first game that Mousesports had this tournament, but it really came alive later on. But they definitely can't afford him to go completely off the wayside here if they want to have a shot at winning. Stico with the aggressive move. He's not spotted out Simple. Oh, there we go. He's actually going to find a double as well. Flamey and Simple gone, removed from the server this round. Stico with the aggressive play on B plateau, all by his lonesome as well. It's going to pay off massively. Well, gets out of dodge.
The timing there for Simple was brutal. As he crouched, Stico pushed out the smoke.
Yeah.
And you don't expect someone to be close to the boxes on the left-hand side from his perspective, so Stico made the most of it, and he's going to pick up a third, looking for a fourth, will land it. He's actually on for the ace, and he's got the play just dead ahead of him, but Edward will deny that from happening. However, Stico can hold his head high for a 4K, should be putting Mousesports finally with a round on their belt. And there's Chris J with the headshot. He's going to be able to dart in and pick up the AWP as well. Welcome, Mousesports.
Finally on the scoreboard, off the back of Stico. No hat today. We'll see if that is a good sign or a bad sign, but so far so good. Picking up that massive, massive 4-kill round to set Mousesports off to a potential comeback here. Navi though, not really hurting for money at this point with a 6th-round initial lead.
But maybe a declaration of intent that we're not seeing an AWP in the hands of Simple. Full AKs, already looking to push onto B-Long. A few smokes and Molotovs stop them for the time being, but drop control is being assumed, and the frags are going their way. On top of it, Flamey comes straight through onto the kill on Stico, but Chris J at the back of the chicken coop is going to do what he can. He's going to get plucked out by Electronic. He was basically screwed as soon as that Molotov landed. Electronic with 2 kills in quick succession has put a blistering halt to this comeback attempt. Wow, Oscar. Okay.
I feel like that's something that would tilt you off the face of the planet.
How about we all just calm down for a second, Oscar, all right? Oh, that's a rough miss. It's probably going to cost him dearly. Simple will push again for a 2K. But, I mean, there was nothing particularly unique about that play. It was just an all-out push on B to get the entries. Job's done.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Flamey finding the first frag, and Electronic once again finding 2 kills. He's been doing very, very well for himself, as you can see, topping the scoreboard here with 11 frags. Simple, obviously not far behind, but Electronic was a bit of a question mark going into this, given his performance so far in this tournament, but seems to be finding himself in a very comfortable spot. Oh.
So, just to highlight this, I'm pretty sure Simple doesn't have a main weapon, and he has nearly 10K in his back pocket. So he's just going, I'm going to Desert Eagle this round.
But I have a feeling he has something left in spawn or something, because he's running back there to look for weapons. I'm not really sure what happened. It's definitely not a part of the plan, though. I mean, by all means, he's a confident guy, but I don't think he's feeling that confident this early.
I will deagle for the rest of this best of 3.
Yeah.
Chris J, though, is going to spray down 2. Stico is trying to help his teammate out, but he's already fallen down. Zeus, it's going to be such a rough fight, but it's going to go the way of Na'Vi. You feel like that probably should have been Mousesports shutting it out before it even got into a 2v2 scenario. Simple is low. He's going to pick up the AK from one of his fallen comrades. No longer an issue, just a Desert Eagle. But Sunny will dispatch of him. Zeus, 1-on-2, not going to happen. Oscar stands tall with the AWP. Mousesports will pick up his second.
Again, just solid crossfire setup from Mousesports in that scenario. Chris J finding 2 frags is probably 1 more than he should have been able to get, but Stico playing up and down those stairs buys a ton of time for Rops to come in and contribute with a kill. So even though Stico doesn't end up with a frag that round, still does his job in that sense. He only had a P250 as well going into it. It was a constant nuisance and a worry really for Na'Vi to have to focus on. And Mousesports bring it right back. So it does reset the Na'Vi squad. Again, not hurting for money just yet, but Edward is starting to run low. And Simple and Electronic pretty much the only ones with a healthy bank at this point. And Simple goes right back to the AWP. No more Deagle shenanigans.
Oscar, We saw him earlier in the tournament actually consistently push mid and try and get picks, and he had pretty good success with it. So Na'Vi trying to counteract that as much as they can. Simple now is going to be afforded a bit of space, trying to wall bang up towards mid. There is a player there, but not quite where he's aiming. That's a lot closer.
Still not connecting, though. Still opportunities as Sunny constantly shoulder peeking here.
Chris Shea is going to push aggressive. We saw Sticko do this earlier, using that smoke to his advantage. Going to throw another smoke, but the trajectory of that, they know someone's up close.
Yeah, there's no way to actually get that smoke in from a different position, pretty much.
Exactly. So Flamey knows. That's hence the pop flash.
Hence pre-fire spam as well. But Chris J probably understood his, not necessarily a mistake, but his move is not going to be fruitful if he stays around. Decides to back off. I guess it does put a bit of a halt to Na'Vi, but Na'Vi already playing a pretty slow game. They have congregated towards the B area, though.
Oh, Rops needed to land that. As soon as the Max 7 shot missed, his life was forfeit. And now unless Chris Shea can pull off some last-ditch heroics, it's looking like Na'Vi are going to barrel onto the site once more and claim another round for themselves. Mousesports have just been unable to get any kind of a stranglehold over their economy or the map. So you expect a save to come in and see if they can bounce back in round 11, but this one's done.
It's been tough for them to find any sort of information as to what Na'Vi are doing. And that's, again, one of the trademarks of Zeus-led Na'Vi teams is that they're extremely slow, but they're really, really good at denying information from the CT. So even though they want to play aggressive, they don't necessarily get any vital information to actually work with. They've been doing a good job of actually denying Oscar or Sunny to actually get active peeks in mid, to find an early pick, or actually be able to walk forward, grab map control. Same thing goes with how they're set up towards the B area as well. Mousesports, though, will stay alive with 3 members for now. So it's not all doom and gloom. We saw them being able to grab one more round back with lesser weaponry than what they have in their hands right now.
That's certainly true. Saving 3 weapons is normally the threshold to be able to drop a couple. And with this kind of weaponry, you expect that they will go all in on this round, Mousesports. I mean, they may not get another opportunity like this for a while.
Yeah.
And the other thing as well is, well, simply put, there's only 5 rounds left of this half. You can't really play for the long game anymore. You've got to get rounds now.
Yep, that's accurate. Mousesports decided to talk things over here with a tactical pause. And as their money situation looks right now, Oscar does have the money to potentially even drop an AWP for Chris J, and he could go towards the B bomb site with that. Or just a Colt, and you get some extra utility to work with as well. But I would imagine that, I think it's Sunny. Actually, no, it's Robs who might want to have to fall on the grenade right here and deal with lesser weaponry. He's going to get a FAMAS, actually. But again, not the most utility on the side of Mousesports, and with Na'Vi's slow-paced style, this could very well become an issue.
Oh, yeah.
The 2 rounds that Mousesports have picked up has pretty much been down to the fact that they've been outgunning Na'Vi, and, well, Simple's definitely not allowing for that to happen once more.
I mean, the issue is that Mousesports have pushed players up B long so many times, and of course, it was Simple that met this Domeister Sticko earlier in that same spot. So this time he's not going to be waiting. This time he's on the alert. He knows what could be coming up against him. Chris J's peak is going to cost him dearly, and Oscar's gone down as well. They came through in the round with 2 orbs. Both of them have been taken from them. And Mousesports continue to struggle. I mean, one of the most impressive things to me about this is obviously Simple. You kind of expect him to perform. Electronic has been impressing me this game so far. He's been doing a solid job.
He's been really good, actually. And I don't think you can disregard what Edward's been doing as well. Finding multiple vital frags.
Oh, not this again. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Edward has a better grip of it than what Zeus had on Inferno. But a bit of a gamble coming up from Mousesport here slowly. And this is what they need to do, really. Just bank on one bomb site. If they don't go there, then you have the opportunity to save. If they do end up here, you still have a fighting chance.
Nice try, Sunny.
I guess one. It takes up Simple, which is obviously a big get, but at this point, you kind of need more.
Drops insta headshot. Bombs also drops. There is maybe a glimmer, but no. Rops has lost his support in Sticko, and as soon as Sticko dies, they can all focus him. He only had about 18 health, living on borrowed time. 9 and 2. This is getting into dangerous territory now. This is just spiraling out of control.
It really is. I guess it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Na'Vi have an improved CT side as well. obviously in the past, very different players, very different lineup. They were a team that were notorious for having pretty terrible CT sides on a map like Cobble, and they haven't necessarily been too impressive with their CT sides so far on multiple maps really of this tournament. So that's still something that could be a bit of a worry for them, but right now, things are looking really good for them. Mousesports obviously would have liked to gotten up to 6 rounds or so to have a bit of a leeway to work with going into the second half, but Flamey finds Stiko. And the 4 remaining players only with pistols, no armor.
Just a Desert Eagle, that's it. And it is in the hands of Sunny. Yesterday in particular on Mirage, he was a beast, but he hasn't been able to reclaim that form that saw them dismantle big. I think it was 16-3 in the end of Mirage.
Yeah.
Could have, to be honest, it could have been 16-0.
That was one of the most brutal games we've seen in a while. Extremely one-sided. Oh, the aggressive push comes up. Zeus recognizes the danger, falls back into a safer angle, and meanwhile, Electronic has already dropped down, cleared out Oscar, and the 3 remaining Mousesports player over at B have nothing really they can do and say about this A take about to come in from Na'Vi.
Well, speaking of the man, he is peering up B long with his Deagle, but the bomb is already in hot pursuit of the A site, looking for a new home. And it will find it momentarily due to the loving hands of Flamey.
Zeus not falling for the temptation of hunting after frags here. Decides to just back off plate safely. Na'Vi are just all over, having a very, very solid performance. Not many mistakes being made. I think the closest we could have gotten to a mistake was probably the 1 round towards A, where they let the clock run down in a big way. Still managed to win that round, of course, though. Surprisingly, though, Mousesports not necessarily interested in actually setting up for exit frags either. I mean, Na'Vi have no real reason to actually go for any extra frags here unless, you know, they want to pad some stats. Maybe Simple in his case, because he's got an MP7, wants to get a bit more of a bank. There's not a whole lot to bring home into the next round, and Simple's just going to find everyone regardless. Why not? So, additional money to an already healthy bank account on Simple's end. And some added confidence. 16 frags on Simple as of right now.
Exquisite work. Bullying Mousesports into submission. No AWPs. Mousesports, I always feel that when they don't have an AWP on their side, they are significantly hamstrung in the process.
I guess the one shimmering, glimmering hope right now is the fact that the AWP hasn't really had any sort of impact for them up to this point, so can't be much worse with all rifles either. But again, low on utility. Na'Vi are probably just going to take their merry time to actually move forward here. Edward over towards the A halls, probably going to set up with the default flashes and smokes, what have you, to make Oscar fall back, and here we go. Na'Vi just tightening that chokehold they have on Mousesports.
Simple typically is played on the other side of mid. This could maybe throw Na'Vi through a loop, but again, you feel like with this lack of utility, they have no kits. It's going to have to come down to some mad individual effort.
Yeah, it's pretty much what's gotten them to 2 rounds on the board they have right now.
Ops is left a little bit vulnerable here because Oscar decides to go down mid and help Sunny out. Instead, goes for the peek, does get the kill into Zeus. Did eat a bit of damage in the process, but that's a worthwhile endeavor.
Timely flash, though, to stagger Na'Vi's push, so they will get up mid and actually be able to help out Robs here.
Didn't really affect Oscar, and with another flashbang being thrown in stables, Na'Vi now in a bit of a pinch, and not in a great spot. Electronic is pushed away from the rest of his team while that smoke is still in play. Simple is going to show his head, will get taken off his shoulders. One of Mousesports' best chance in rifle rounds has now been gifted to them. But Flamey comes in for a kill and is looking for a second one, not far off the headshot. Finally lands onto Oscar, but there's Stiko. Mousesports will pick up a third. It's at the cost of 3 players' lives. But they get it done.
As you mentioned, we're getting into the late territory of the first half, so we can't really be that demanding that you require 3 players to stay alive. At this point, Mousesports just need rounds. 2 more to close it out would still make for an okay-ish first half, especially considering how things played out initially. They have to be happy about that. But it's been a hard-fought struggle for Mousesports to get anything on the board, anything going. They've been reset every time they've won a round as well. Let's see if the theme continues. Oscar playing forward here towards A halls. 3 Na'Vi players sat behind that.
Once again, Oscar going to be flirting with danger. Smokes, backs away. However, Mousesports, even though they just won the last round, you can see that in terms of weaponry, they are way behind Na'Vi still. That is always the price you pay when you've been dismantled on the first half, especially on the CT's perspective. So Mag 7 for Rops, saw him use it in drop earlier, didn't have any success with it. Still have a few nades to play with, but still just shy of a minute on the clock for Na'Vi. Plenty of time for them to move into position. Oscar's not going to be able to peek now that that Molotov's gone down. Sunny in a similar position that Rops is in last round, but Oscar is going to drill Zeus, alleviating some of the pressure now, forcing Na'Vi out into the open on long, but they're simple. Smoke onto doors is going to stop anyone from pushing alongside the smoke on balcony now. This bomb will get planted. The one saving grace is maybe Oscar, who's came around the back, but they knew he was around there. He was the one Mousesports player that got the frag, and he was last seen in mid. It's looking like deja vu. It's looking like Na'Vi are going to get to 11 rounds.
It's going to be a really rough retake. Timing works in the favor of Mousesports, though, as Chris J and Stico combine to find an electronic, but still a lot of Na'Vi players to find.
Problem is, even though they've got kills, the positions now for Na'Vi are just too strong, and Flamey and Edward will chime together and get the important clutch. 11 rounds on the T-half, and they're not done just yet.
Oh, they really aren't. Mousesports there getting caught out. Sunny spotting down mid to see if there's anyone else trying to run down Oscar. Gets caught out in a really bad position. Makes it easy for Flamey to find the first frag, and then just monsters way up on site.
Oh, this last buy.
It's not what you like to see. And again,
they're simple.
Yeah. Through the smoke, through the wall, Sunny goes down, and already it's going from bad to worse for Mousesports here. They're going to have to hope to get real lucky here through the smoke, connect some shots that you're not supposed to. They want to have a fighting chance here. And Na'Vi are probably just going to keep the same approach as they have for the better part of the half. I think we've only seen one quick round out of Na'Vi up to this point. Outside of that, it's just been cool, calm, and collected. Edward continues his good form as well, finds Oscar and A-Halls, and that pretty much removes the entire defense from A. Obviously, Na'Vi not having any idea of this just yet. It does force a rotation as well, and if you're Mousesports at this point, well, Stico finds the electronic, and Chris J finds Zeus as well, so there's a little bit of hope being garnered here.
Maybe another couple of twists yet in this round, Ven.
Yeah.
Not quite over just yet.
I was about to say, like, if you're Mousesports in this kind of scenario, you would like to stack up, and Chris J, well, he doesn't need any teammates apparently. It removes Flamey, and all of a sudden, it's Mousesports ahead. Oh, in manpower.
He was thinking of rotating across to A, but we have the benefit of seeing the bomb is still in B long. So at this point, Edward's just trying to fake. He's trying to draw out Chris J. He's trying to draw out any players on the CTs on B, and it's working. And to make matters worse, Edward's going to go down, but Simple can just traipse across to the site, and he is a clutch master. He is in such good form. Very few players on this planet could go toe-to-toe with him right now. He is a bit weakened, but he's deciding to push up aggressive, taking the fight to the CTs. Rops and Stico don't have any more utility. They've expended the one flashbang. They're going to be lining up together, but Stico lands the frag, and Simple will not be able to clutch this time around.
So Mousesports are just winning rounds in the most unlikely ways right now. And they have to thank their lucky stars for that as well. 4 rounds, not a whole lot to work with, but we've seen it being done before, and that's actually usually how Na'Vi won their Cobble games. If they got to 4 rounds on the CT side, that was all they needed. We'll see if that rings true for Mousesports as well, but definitely an extremely solid half from the side of Na'Vi. Much better than I anticipated.
4 rounds does give them a little bit of wiggle room, though. It does allow them, if they can pick up the second pistol, again, coming into this game, they had better pistol stats. If they can take the second pistol, maybe, just maybe, they can mount a comeback. And we've already seen Na'Vi choke from vast leads in this event.
That's definitely true, but I think for this to be a reality, or potentially a reality, Oscar's going to have to come alive in this match. Been extremely quiet over towards that A side. Didn't really connect with anything at all with the op. And that's definitely something they need, especially when, you know, the one question mark on Na'Vi's side, electronic there in your frame, he's really kind of showing up.
Yeah. Like in some crazy fragging trance for a second there.
Yeah.
A bit worried for my life.
Ended up the half with 14 frags. get surpassed by Simple, but you know, no shame in that. Seemingly everybody is getting surpassed by Simple, is already sitting on 20 frags. But Electronic definitely having a ton of impact frags early on to get Na'Vi going off to that great start.
Full Kevlars. Na'Vi not bothering with any utility. No kits.
Oh. And for weaklings.
Just supreme confidence. They're like, we'll win every single duel. You're not going to get to the site. You're going to die before then.
Yeah. Well, Chris J is going to take the tactical approach with a smoke and 2 flashes. Wouldn't be surprised to see if that's going to be connector smoke. And Mousesports have made their way quite far up mid here, so Simple might be in for a rude awakening.
There's a lot of different angles to watch out for. There's the first kill. Narrowly misses out in the second. Only 3 bullets left. Not going to matter. Chris J will silence him. Zeus, though, from the balcony is wasting valuable time, allowing the rest of his team to wrap around the site. Plus, Edward is going to be coming around the back of mid. So each second that Na'Vi waste puts them into good position. Even though the bomb's been planted, even though they don't have a kit, they do have the man advantage. It's going to need to remain the case, though. Oscar is actually perched up on the APC. This skews with the headshot angle you'd normally be looking at from balcony, but it doesn't matter. The rest of his team are falling down, and Sunny's going to get picked off from behind. Na'Vi concede the bomb plant. Doesn't matter a tiny bit.
Make it work nonetheless. And I think the one issue that Mousesports ran into there is that obviously Oscar and Sunny end up in positions that pretty much try to cover the same angle. And it's a tough decision to make right then and there, but I think Sunny has to play more aggressively and be more active because Oscar's stuck between a rock and a hard place. There's no real way for him to actually move into a different spot without getting either taken down from mid or a small room or actually balcony. So he just has to kind of stand his ground and fight. And Sunny, though, yet being spot out, needs to do more to help Oscar out in that kind of a situation. Nonetheless, so Na'Vi get off to that start. So that's both pistols.
Very true.
Right now, though, AK, we've seen this more and more from multiple teams, actually. Spying up that 1 AK for your heavy hitter, and Rops has been having a fantastic event so far. It's been going to work.
I mean, he really is the raid boss, considering nobody else has any investment at all. Just an AK and a Soul Kevlar and 4 Glocks.
Oh. And just Chris J, actually, who has donated that AK as well. He's down to 0. Rops not going to be able to win out the duel.
Oh, you hate to see it. They finally get a kill, but they're not able to salvage the weapon that Rops dropped or that Edward also lost. And Flamey comes in with a double spray. Sticko, dead man walking, will be executed by Electronic. And we discussed at length about how important it was for that second pistol to go the way of Mousesports if they want any chance of bouncing back. Well, now they are down into their last chance territory.
Wow. And with the bomb plant in the first round, and no real investment on anyone outside of Rops, buying Kevlar and Chris J buying that AK for Rops. They're going to decide to buy up here. They know they're so pressed for time and pressed for rounds that they need to get back into it early on. And obviously with this kind of an early buy, it does allow them to potentially reset Na'Vi as well. As they have gone up to predominantly rifles. Simple obviously wielding that AK from last round.
Maybe something for the desk to touch on. I'm curious how many kills Simple has in this event so far. It must be close to 200.
Like it's close to 1 million at this point.
Well, he's going to go down. Not able to add an extra notch on that belt. Chris J, Rops and Sunny trying to labor their way into a round. And of course, they came through in this one 2 CZs, but they're able to pick up AKs from their fallen teammates. Because though Sunny is low.
And Edward's in a really, really solid position as well there. Perched up on the boost. Mainly because it's not necessarily the first place you actually take an active angle towards as you move in towards mid as a T. So that's going to allow Edward to get enough time to get at least 1 frag in that kind of a situation. And Electronic is posted up close enough to actually be able to respond to this, or at least was. As he moves over towards drop zone. But we can see Mousesports players still circling about that A area. So far 2 players in mid, and they have to hope that they can get a trade here if Edward's able to find 1 frag. Oh, gives away his position. Still going to find the frag though. Drops down. Up to 15 HP. Will get taken out by Chris, but we talked about it. That's pretty much all he needed to do, though. But Sunny taking out Electronic as he peers down mid. That's going to be the real game, but low HP.
Very low. If Flamey
Is he just going to wander through the smoke? He is.
And he's going to get the first kill as well. There's not much time. He's got to stick on the bomb, Chris J. And as soon as he peers up, it's going to be Flamey to knock him back down again. 10-round lead coming in. Mousesports at least got the bomb plant, but I mean, that's really looking at things optimistically. This has been dark. It's been dreary.
It's been brutal. They're getting the big treatment right now that Mousesports were handing out on Mirage yesterday. Definitely a whole lot not working in their favor. You have to credit Na'Vi for that, though. This is more Na'Vi doing well than Mousesports doing poorly. Obviously, you can talk about Oscar not necessarily having that good of a game. Same thing for Rob's actually been fairly quiet so far.
Oscar's only got 5 frags.
Yeah, none in the second half. And obviously, that is a bit of an issue for Mousesports, but I'd rather focus on Na'Vi's well-being and well-doing. Now we're going to see a quick round for Mousesports right out onto the B-bomb site, but Flamey is there. First bastion of defense will eventually get taken out by Rops, but damage has been done. Rotations are coming in from Na'Vi's side, and Electronic just chiming in as well.
Sonny's doing work though here, Ven. He's already picked up 2. He's brought them back into a 2-on-2, and now Rops is going to try and light up with a Galil. Another 1-for-1 trade. Sonny against Simple. I know who I'd personally be betting on, but Simple has mind-gamed himself. He's going to go to A. In fact, I think he's very much aware of what's about to happen. He just wants to make the fast rotation all the way around the back of B.
Yeah, this is pretty unexpected if you're Sonny. Only thing that Simple has to be careful of is how much time he actually spends rotating off. And Sonny actually going to head over to the plateau as well. He seems to have an inkling as to what's coming around the corner.
Come down to timing, and Simple will drop Sonny. I mean, it's kind of dual purpose for Sonny there. On the one hand, obviously, if he goes for the fast rotation, you're in position. If not, the bomb was planted for him, but he's just looking away at the worst possible seconds.
Oh. There you have it. Simple, just continuing his good form, picking up a 2K there, and also winning the 1v1 clutch. And that puts Na'Vi on map point. I was definitely expecting to see more of a fight being put up from Mousesports here on this first map, but Na'Vi have just been dominant from start to finish. And again, you're seeing Simple nearing that 30-bomb territory. At this point, it feels just like business as usual, really, which is crazy to say.
Molly into the peak. Lops is going to come head-to-head with a Molotov of his own, however. It's going to stop the push for the time being. Smoke down 2. And nothing particularly out of the ordinary so far on this setup. Mousesports just trying to feel their way into some weaknesses, and well, Sticko is going to find out firsthand that middle is not weak at all. He loses his life. We're perched up on platform. Mousesports just seem to have lacked that piercing attack on their T side thus far. They haven't really offered too much. It's been Sonny landing some crazy entries, and that's about it, really.
It has been obviously not optimal buys on the side of Mousesports because they are pressed for rounds. So just trying to get away with a quick one, really. Resetting Na'Vi with that 3rd round buy, even though they did drop an AK in the 2nd round for Rops. So they're not going to have the utility that they like. That's the last Molotov going out as well. Now it's going to be really tough for them. We'll set up for a smoke execute here with the 3 remaining smokes. Sonny already down in drop room. This has to work perfectly for Mousesports if they want to have a shot at this.
All it takes is one false step, one slip up, and this map is over. Flamey's got flash, but he's able to stay in position. And he's also got Edward in alcove. They're not going to check him. Not able to transition across for a double spray, but he's seen the bomb down, and now Flamey will do the rest. Sonny, probably the standout player for Mousesports for me. But he's got a 1v3 up against him, and Flamey is not going to allow him to get any closer to the clutch. 16-4, incredibly one-sided start to the grand finals.
Very much so. Na'Vi just showing up in full force, and yeah, Simple topping the scoreboard as per usual, but I think you have to give a lot of credit to multiple players on the side of Na'Vi. Electronic starting them off on the right foot, having a lot of important impact frags to start them off. Same thing with Edward as well. Just overall a really, really solid team performance from the CIS squad.
mean, there's not really much I can add. I think 16-4 tells the full picture of what just happened there.
Yeah.
The key men showed up for Na'Vi, key men for Mousesports, not really.
Yeah, I mean, two of the best performers on their team, in Oscar and Robs, just completely invisible for the better part of that game, and that's obviously something they have to rectify going into map 2.
Well, we're going to head over to the desk. We're going to try and break down that demolition that we just witnessed.
Demolition, that's a hell of a word you got there, Vince. Ultimately, yeah, I don't think it could be much more accurate than that, huh, Pim?
The simple show just continues on delivering.
Yes, it does. You can't even pay for this quality.
That's why I pay as part of the simple cult. I don't know, we'll come up with a better name.
Okay.
But yeah, I pay him. And he just keeps delivering. He just keeps bringing me highlight after highlight, clutch after clutch, round after round. He's a man with a plan, but to be completely honest, it feels like this is a bit of a trap that Mousesports have fallen into, picking a map, sure, they're very strong on, one that we haven't seen this Na'Vi roster on. Maybe in practice they'll drub them, who knows? We always have that caveat there that we can't know all the information, but Na'Vi historically are a good team. On
especially with Zeus, right?
Yeah,
Zeus has always been good on this map, also with Gambit.
Sides are always quite nice.
Now we like went shit on Cobblestone when they lost Zeus, basically. So.
Sure. Trace, we're going to head over to the drawing board real quick, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's presented to all you at home, all you
Samsung?
lovely viewers, by Samsung. If you don't have a Samsung television, I don't know what the hell you're doing. But I just felt that Na'Vi were one step ahead the entire time, and here's a round that just kind of pinpoints that for me. They had a read. They stack over towards this A bomb site. This is pretty unorthodox, right? Having 3 guys towards A this early on in the round. You're going to see this boost coming in right here. They're going to pop Edward up with that rifle, and this is going to play a huge role as the round goes on. Normally, you're going to see 1, 2, and then there'll be 2 other players over towards this B bomb site. Normally, that's the way you like to structure your B defense or early cobble defense, but that's not to be in this scenario. The boost goes up. Edward and Simple play in relatively forward positions. Trade frags are going to come out momentarily. I know we're on the clock, but here they come. Bang, bang. Simple turning around. He's going to grab one. Another player will fall, and we're going to fast forward a little bit. Now, as you can see, just up here, those 2 players, Simple and Zeus, have gone down. Those forward positions are gone. If you are the side of Mousesports, you think the attack's going to be coming in on this A bomb site, and you don't think there's going to be anyone boosted. But Edward, he holds his ground. He stays strong, and he's going to find himself very effectively grabbing a frag. They're going down, and this is what ultimately puts 2 players on very low HP. Electronic gets absolutely ripped apart, but as you can see on the right of your screen, Chris J and Sunny, they're very low. Allows Flamey to come on in, 2v1 situation, away you go. Just those reads, just those plays being one step ahead. Fantastic map from Na'Vi, good for them.
I mean, looking at Edward's positioning, right, they're left in a 3v3, it makes complete sense to have that sort of a dispersion across the map. But when we look at dispersion, we can also look at these numbers here. We got the statistics loaded up for you, the viewer at home, and ourselves. And, well, guess what? Simple rocking 130 DAR. How about that?
That's what an AVP also. Like, that's insane numbers by Simple right there. Insane numbers.
And what's pretty much just a show of force here by Na'Vi on I believe, a map pick by Mousesports. This was a Mousesports map pick.
I think Inferno will be close to that, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with what Chad said, falling into a trap, they probably should have went with Nuke. It's easy to stand here and say now, but we did that before as well. It's like Na'Vi is not structured on Nuke, and Mousesports did play fine on Nuke. And I feel like, you fall into the trap because Na'Vi they had a struggle period on Cobble, but that was without Zeus. Now that Zeus is back, it seems like that Cobble is back, as it was in the old days with Na'Vi.
Looked super strong from this end. Almost as strong as the website known as Sliver.tv. Head over there right now and grab some coins and participate in. Maybe even find yourself opening a case on your way to bed tonight or just now. Either one works just fine. I think that's an acceptable rate of opening cases. Either way, let's go ahead and check out how they do it over at Sliver.tv.
Watch